Good morning, everybody. Hey, it's Sunday morning, and I'm preparing to cook Sunday dinner. So, what you're looking at here now, I've already cut up some veggies in a pan with some, guess what? Turkey wings. I have not done turkey wings, I don't think, before. What I'm trying to find here, this is a huge turkey wing. Um, when you purchase them in the store like this, they're called V wings, and they come like let's put it back together because I cut them apart. They come like this, so they form a V. But I cut this part off because some people won't eat them. They'll get the whole V wing and mess over the little wing tip. I love the wing tip, so I went ahead and cut them off. So if nobody wants to eat them, I will. If they want one, they can just grab one out of the pan. Now, what I'm going to do here is go ahead and start putting the seasoning on, and we're going to get these turkey wings in the oven. So on the menu today is going to be turkey wings, rice and gravy, steamed cabbage, and possibly some good old cornbread stuffing. So this is just this time of year. I start thinking about poultry a lot, other than chicken, and I started thinking about stuffing. So I thought, with these wings today, I'll probably go ahead and do some stuffing. Okay, so what I'm going to get started with here first is a tablespoon of salt. I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle everything over these wings, and then I'll go ahead and rub them down and get them all mixed in. So, whoops, yep, that's a good tablespoonful. So, and this is poultry season. I'm going to sprinkle about a good old teaspoon of poultry season. Of course, you can see that's the Food Line brand. Put that poultry season on there, and when they get started cooking, you'll start thinking about Thanksgiving. How about that? Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is a tablespoon of onion powder. This is Badia onion powder, a real good brand of seasoning. It's not very expensive, so sprinkle that real good. And I'm going to do a tablespoon of black pepper. By the way, this was 6 large V wings. Tony won't be joining us today for dinner. He opted out because of football season. We don't do a lot. I don't do a lot of football, so he likes to be where he could be in his home and enjoying football. So this is, I think, the first big kickoff for football. So he decided he'd stay home. So we're going to do a tablespoon of this complete seasoning. Okay, good, healthy rather, tablespoon of that. So all I want to do now at this point is I'm going to take these wings and I'm going to make sure that every last one of them gets coated with the seasoning. And then I'm going to put a lid on it and I'm going to run it through the oven. And it'll have lots of juice in there to make gravy with and to make some stuffing if I decide to do so. And I pretty much think I'm going to do the stuffing. So we can have that to look forward to. But that's all there is to getting these wings. If you've never done turkey wings in the oven before, this is how I do mine. I don't know. You got different people doing different ways. Now, sometimes I've done curry chicken wings. You just simply add some curry powder to it, and they are yummy. For whatever reason, my family seems to like just a regular turkey wing. So I am going to, at the end, when I do the gravy, I'll put some curry gravy, that golden curry gravy mix in there. Okay. So we just get those all saturated with the seasoning. And voila. Like I say, you just make sure you have your veggies in there. Got 1 large onion, half of a medium green pepper, and 2 large stalks of celery. And a tablespoon of everything that I sprinkled on except salt. I put just a teaspoon of salt because that complete seasoning has salt in it. So we don't want to get it too saucy. And I've got my secret ingredient seasoning that I still got to put on there. For those of you who watch me cooking, know when I cook poultry, I use my Gold Mountain season. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with about a 1/4 cup of Gold Mountain season. Okay. Alrighty. I hope y'all are doing great this morning. It's a great morning here in North Carolina. It's overcast today. Hopefully we'll get some kind of warm weather. I'm sorry, yeah, warm weather versus hot weather because I know it's not going to be cool, but it'll be hopefully it won't be. It was almost 100 yesterday, I believe. It felt like it was anyway. So anywho, these are all ready to go into the oven. Um, I'm going to put them in at 350, and I should have really done these last night, and that would give them that flavor really a good chance to soak through. But since I didn't, we're just going to go ahead and put them in right now and let them slow cook through the afternoon. Okay? Or you can leave them sitting and just let them marinate. Sit them in the fridge and let them marinate for a little bit. And be assured of the flavor going through them. So, for all practical purposes, y'all, the wings are seasoned. I'm going to go and get myself ready for church. Like I said, I'm going to put foil over these, and they're going to go into a 350 degree oven. Now, turkey wings, especially in this pan, if you have one of these heavy pans like this, a couple hours and a half will do it. We'll have them falling off the bone, because that's the way I like mine, falling off the bones. 2.5, 3 hours is plenty enough time to cook these and get that good broth off of them, so that you can go ahead and do some gravy for them. And if you're going to do some stuffing, you're going to need that broth off of them also to make your stuffing. So until I come back, I'm going to ask y'all to hang on there for me a minute, and I'll be back after church to finish this meal up. Hey y'all, good afternoon. I'm back from church, just getting back in here. I'm taking a little break before I finish up cooking. Those turkey wings, by the way, are already done. I've taken them out of the oven. So what I'm going to do when I get this little break done and over with, I'm going to go ahead and do the stuffing. I got to make the cornbread, of course. So anyway, I just want to sit down to take the opportunity just to say to you all, I had a wonderful church service. We had a guest pastor in today. I got to see some of my neighbors from, wow, maybe 20 years ago. A young lady who was just a little teenager at the time. She's all grown up and got children. Just briefly, just to give y'all just a nugget. This word blessed me so much because I went to church with a request in my heart, and we have to make our request known. And sometimes we can make our requests known, as it dawned on me in church today, through praise and worship. It doesn't always have to be in the form of, God, would you, bless me in this, give me some more of this and some more of that, or relieve me of this, that, and the other. So what I got to thinking about, and in the end, is that we can make our requests known to God through praise and worship. And actually, we need to do that more often, I imagine, than we do asking for stuff. But anyway, the lesson today was God's providence. And what the pastor broke it down to me this morning was God's constant care about us. He is constantly caring about us. So, when something is providence, it's intense, it's always on time, it's assured. And we know one thing, God is in control. And that's what we have to know. When we think about we want to be in control of this or control of that, our children, our finances, or this and that, if we leave it alone, God's got it. He's in control all the time. Because what we often do, we get anxious about things, about wanting things to move forward, or, it could be something simple. But, the Word of God tells us, be anxious for nothing. I think that's somewhere in Philippians, chapter 4 of Philippians, yeah. That's what I wrote. The peace of God is always what we need. And this is always something that, if anybody knows me, that is my constant word, is the peace of God, or God's peace. And one thing that the pastor did this morning, and it blessed me also, when he talked about there's a difference between the peace of God and being in peace, the peace of God, and the peace with God. And immediately I thought to myself, wow, that is so awesome because, when we have peace with God, that means we're in a relationship. So if we have a relationship with God, we're going to have the peace of God. And we also pray for the peace of God when we're in trouble, something's going wrong. We want the peace of God to wash over us. But if we are at peace with God, He's already going to provide that for us anyway. So I just wanted to leave that little nugget with you. That was my own little nugget that I drew from the service. And usually when I go, I have a pad and pen, and I try to jot little nuggets down. So I just wanted to share that little nugget with y'all. So anywho, I believe my break is over. I need to get over here on this stove and finish this meal. So as I get it prepared, I will let you know what I'm doing. So I'll be right back. Just shortly, y'all. Just shortly. And I'm back. Getting ready to get these cabbage going. Okay, I've got the water on, heating up there. Let me turn this water off on the back. On the back burner, that's my rice pot. So, what I'm going to do is go ahead and, well, since I got the rice water boiling already, I'm going to cook 2 cups of rice. Okay, so I'm sure y'all know how to do rice. We've done rice many times, so I'm not going to even bother to measure. I know about what 2 cups look like. So I'm just going to pour. That's 2 cups of rice. The reason I did that is because my water's already boiling. I need to stall for time for my cabbage water to start to boil. So all you have to do with rice, you can fix it according to the instructions on the bag. You can pour a little bit more water in there. I boiled it all up. Forgot I had it on there, y'all. I need to focus. Anywho, bring that rice to a boil, cover it, let it steam for about 15 minutes, and it'll be ready. So what I got over here on the side, y'all, is the cabbage. What I'm going to do first, if you got dark green leaves of cabbage, you go ahead and cut them up first and get them into the pan and start cooking them ahead of your other cabbage. And this is what I mean by dark green. This is dark because those are a little bit tougher. They're not as tender as your light green leaves. Foam cord. Don't want it that way. We don't need to see all that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut these green leaves. Move that out of the way. Y'all see I got this little tight space over here because I've got everything staged pretty much so that I can just reach for it, pick it up, and go ahead and get done what I need to get done. Of course, I've already pre-washed the cabbage and cut them in 4 pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm cutting right here on my countertop as I always do. Just cut these up like this. And we're going to steam the cabbage today rather than steam boil them rather than make a stir fry. You can do a stir fry, which is a little bit more work. And it has a totally different flavor because when I make the the stir fried cabbage, I use the Oriental seasoning. So, but this is just a regular, I'm going to use some bacon. And, okay. And what I'm going to do with these here is just drop them right into that pan. And just let them cook. And when they're just about done, I'll put the light green cabbage in. So all I have to do to that light green cabbage, of course, I've cut them into 4 wedges like that. Let's get that back over there. Okay. I need to stir my rice a little bit. I'm multitasking today, y'all. It's like 2:10. This has got to be done by 3:30. The turkey wings are already done, so the major part of the meal is done. The one that takes the longest to cook already done, so I don't have to worry about it. Okay. So I'm going to lower the heat a little bit under that cabbage, just a little bit. Okay. Then I'm just going to cut this enough to show you. Now I'm going to cut these like that, big old strips like that, and then I'll take and I'll cut them like this. Let me see. What am I doing? This camera self-adjusts, so y'all give me a minute here. It's way big. Okay. I know y'all cringing, but that's okay. Eventually, I'm going to get me a better camera setup. I know y'all probably say, yo, you say that every time you cook. Yeah, cameras cost money. Okay. So, anywho, I'm just going to go ahead and continue to cut these. Get this one out of the way. Put that on to the side there. There we go. Just move stuff out the way, Peggy. You can chop them like that in pieces, like so. Little square pieces like that. Pieces like it doesn't really matter. There's no real special pattern. I mean, they're gonna cook either way. Just go ahead and cut them, or you can shred. You can even do them like that in pieces like that, if you like them in bigger pieces. So you can cut them any way whatever way you prefer. Again, that's a chef's choice. Now, if you're doing something with a particular meal and it has to be cooked a certain way to get a certain finished product, then of course you know you got to cook it according to the way it's set up to be cooked. Otherwise, it's chef's choice. That's what I always say. When you hear me say Peggy's whatever, it's going to be chef's choice. Okay. Now I can go ahead and put the lid on that rice. Once I put the lid on the rice, I just turn it down to low and just let it cook for about 15 minutes and it's ready to go. Oh, seems like this is, close my blind. No, didn't make any difference. I was trying to get it a little bit darker. So anyway, this is basically how you're going to do the cabbage. Okay, before it got to this point, of course, you know the cabbage was whole and I just cut it in 4 pieces. That was a bad leaf I missed. Cut it in 4 pieces, wash it, drain some of that water off of it, and just proceed to cut it up. Because the next thing you're going to do with it, once those green leaves get done in that pan, you're going to go ahead and put them in there. And you're going to steam these cabbage for a good 15 minutes. Now, I am not using, normally I use like some smoked turkey or ham hocks or something like that. I'm going to use some turkey bacon pieces. I'm just going to take about 4 or 5 pieces of turkey bacon and I'm going to cut it up, put it right into that pan. And the seasoning that I'm using in the cabbage is going to be a stick of butter, some salt and pepper, and some onion powder, and a little bit of that complete seasoning. And that's going to be it. And I'll let them cook, like I say, for about 15 minutes, and everything will be ready to eat. So I'm just continuing cutting this cabbage up. Like I said, this large head of cabbage, when you go in to buy your cabbage, a large head of cabbage will feed probably 6 to 8 people real easily without a problem. And it's a real cabbage. Steamed cabbage is just such a simple and easy dish to prepare. Nothing wizardry about it. It's just a matter of getting it properly seasoned. And you know, again, cabbage is something, let me just say this too. If you're cooking it for the first time, don't put a lot of salt. For this size cabbage, I'm going to say about a tablespoon of salt. And of course, you know, I put a little bit of sugar in there. And I'll do that. Usually I do it mainly in the water, but I don't want to put it in right now while I'm boiling those green parts. So what I'm going to do here in a few minutes, I'll start putting in my seasoning so that when I put the light green parts in there, it'll all cook in together. Okay? So, hold on one sec for me. Okay, y'all, I am back. It's time to get the cabbage into the water. The green part, remember the green cabbage I cooked? When they turn about that color, they're done enough to put in your light green cabbage. Okay, in that water, in this water, I've got a stick of butter, and I've got 3 tablespoons of salt. I'm sorry, excuse me, back up. 3 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of onion powder, and now I'm going to put the cabbage in. Now, cabbage, because I call it a water veggie, so you don't have to put a lot of water and cabbage to steam it because it makes water. So what I'm going to do is just start putting these in. And as they cook down, I think I'll cut these a little bit more. I think I want them that big. Okay. I didn't cut those. Remember, I was just showing y'all the different ways you could cut them. But I kind of like mine a little bit smaller. You just be careful if you're trying to do it like this once you get it in the pan. And what I like to do is go ahead and start coating my cabbage like this. Let's do that. Just a little bit, sort of get them all mixed in there. Okay. And just continue to put them in. And then you remember I told you I was going to use some turkey bacon in there. So I got about 4 or 5 slices of turkey bacon. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut half of it up in there right now. Like that. And let that flavor just soak through there. Because you know you don't have to do a whole lot of cooking to turkey bacon. And I'm just going to continue putting the cabbage in. And also I'm going to put in a little bit of a complete seasoning right on top of that. Okay. So basically cooking cabbage is a real easy thing. As you can see, buy the cabbage, wash it real good, cut it in 4 pieces, and there's a little wedge that is in the center of that cabbage. Just cut those out. And what I do with these, I'm going to chop them up and I put vinegar on them so they're edible. Yeah. Honey, look, when we were growing up, we grew up poor, so we didn't throw away too many parts of anything. So if it was edible, we ate it. And while Mama was cooking, and I've always been like this because I always love veggies, I would just cut mine, let her cut me a piece, and I get me some salt and put some vinegar on it. Yeah. And I guess, you know, in certain parts, you go around and you'll find, probably somewhere in Spain, I'm sure, because they did tossed salad, but they did a lot of salad with cabbage, just raw, like you do, we'll do coleslaw, well, they fix theirs with tomatoes and cucumbers and all that, just like we do tossed salad, and that was very good, so I love it. So just sort of continue to do it like this here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the lid on it for a minute or two and let it steam. Then I'm going to take the lid off. Now you can't leave that lid on there because you don't want your cabbage to be mushy. I'm going to leave it on there for about 5 minutes and let those cabbage cook down some. And then when they cook down, I'll continue stirring in them so we get all that seasoning through. And while we're talking, we're just going to do a little cleanup job here because I'm going to keep rolling because the next thing I'm going to do is the stuffing. Okay, so we got the cabbage down pat. A large head of cabbage, wash it, cut it in 4 quarters, cut the little center piece out, cut it into squares or slices or whatever, let it sit and drain. And if you got the dark green leaves that you want to keep, you don't have to keep them. You can throw them away if you want to. I like to cook my dark green leaves. But if you cook your dark green leaves, remember, heat that water up and put your seasoning in there after about a few minutes. And go ahead and boil those green parts for about 10 minutes. And when you chop that white part of your cabbage up, just start putting them in there. And put your seasoning in for a large cabbage now. Teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of sugar in that water, and a stick of butter. And if you want to cut some bacon up in it, or if you want to pre-boil some kind of bacon, you know, like fatback, ham hock, smoked pork, anything that's up to you. Again, that's chef's choice with that. Okay, so hopefully that'll help you cook a good pot of cabbage. Now, I've baked a pan of cornbread. What I'm going to do with this cornbread is get it going in this big old mixing bowl because I'm getting ready to do stuffing. So this is how I start my stuffing. And one thing that I always have to do when I make cornbread is that this is part of my ritual. I always cut me about that much off and put it, well, I want a little bit more than that because I'm hungry. And I'll cut that much because I'm going to put some butter and syrup on that, and it just makes the stuffing taste better. I'm kidding. Anyway, Got my cornbread in there. Ooh, that's some good cornbread. And please, when you make a cornbread, make a good pan of cornbread. Don't just make any kind of cornbread. Now, see that cornbread, I can stand there and eat the whole pan non-stop. Okay. Ooh, that's good. Y'all have to excuse me. Okay. I've already ground up 2 cups of bell pepper, celery, and onion. Dump it right in the pan. And I'm going to put the broth. Remember the turkey wings? Okay. I'm going to put the broth off of the turkey wings in there. And I've got some chicken broth that I bought from the store in case I need some extra broth. Because remember now, I got to make gravy out of that broth as well. So, y'all hear those cabbages? They're boiling real good. Okay. I got to put a little bit, probably about another 4 cups of water. Now, the heat is on high heat, so I'm going to turn that heat down on these cabbage. Okay. Well, turkey wings look wonderful. Let me see if I can get show you what the turkey wings. Turkey wings, remember I baked them this morning before I went to church. So the turkey wings are done. They've got the juice in there. Come back over here. Y'all excuse my cord. I don't know why it's flopping so bad. Now this is a heavy pan, so y'all pray with me on this. What I'll do is I'll just use my same little boiler. I'm gonna go ahead and pour some of that juice. I just poured some of the juice off there. And like I said, I've got some accident, y'all. Accident. I'm gonna pour some that broth right on into. Just pour that broth on top of there. So I think I have enough. I think I have plenty. Just get over here and get me. I can use that same spoon that I used earlier. Okay, just start mixing all your ingredients together. And you know what I gotta find? I gotta find some white bread because I always put white bread in with my stuffing. So it gives it a little bit different texture, so it's not just total cornbread. So all you gotta do, make your pan of cornbread, put it in a mixing bowl, chop you up some bell pepper, celery, and onions, pour it on top, get some of the juice out of that, whatever, if you cooked a turkey, or if you cooked, like I did, in my case, I cooked turkey wings. So hold on one sec. Okay, we're back to the stuffing now. Okay, I put a, I forgot to put black pepper in there. Well, you know I dumped the whole bottle, so I had to go off screen for a minute. Anywho, be careful with the bottle caps. Make sure your stuff is screwed on tight. Otherwise, you're going to dump the whole thing like I did and create extra work for yourself. But anyway, I was salvage it by just taking that whole top layer out. Okay, so be careful with those lids. Okay, back to the stuffing. Okay, we got a 9 by 12 pan of cornbread in there, probably about 2 inches thick. I've got 4 hamburger buns in there and a couple slices of some other kind of bread that I have. So you can either use breadcrumbs or you can use your own bread. If you're going to use breadcrumbs, probably a half a pack of a 16-ounce pack of breadcrumbs with that amount of cornbread that you've made up. I've got a 2 cups of a mixture of bell pepper, celery, and onions chopped, a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm not going to put any salt in there because the broth off of those turkey wings are seasoned. Excuse me, that black pepper's about to get me. But anyhow, I've got everything all put into this. Just like a 1 dish dump. So just put everything in there and just start mixing. And as you can see, oh, the bread too, by the way. Wet that bread so it gets nice and wet and mushy, so it'll blend in with the cornbread. Or if you just want cornbread dressing, I guess you just not put bread in it at all. It's up to you. Again, that is the chef's choice. Now, what I have to do, I must do this. You must get your hands into the mix, okay? You've got to get your hands into the mix so that I know all that bread and that cornbread and everything is well mixed. See, it's supposed to be at that consistency right there. And I like to get that bread blended in because the edges of the bread sometimes don't break down with the water. Just get it in there. If you need to use gloves, run over to your cabinet and get you a pair of gloves. If not, wash your hands real good with some Clorox and Ivory liquid and get to it. And I don't have fingernails to speak of either. So, I mean, if you have nails, of course, you need to get you some gloves going on because you don't want all that gook under your nails. My nails are very, 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 very short. I don't have the nice, pretty manicured nails. But anyway, if you see what I'm doing, you get the gist of it. So this is just about ready to go into the baking pan. I'm going to be putting this into an oven heated to 375. Bake it for about an hour and 15 minutes. And it will be worthy of a plate. And we'll dip some gravy over it. So this is almost like we getting ready for the Thanksgiving. Okay, so that's about good enough there, y'all. Look, if you can't put your hands in it, you don't need to cook it. Get your hands in it, child. Like I said, you have to feel food. And of course, I was doing a video yesterday with Norrique, and my daughter, she said, "Mom, you talk a lot." I said, "Sure I do." Number one, I like to talk. Number two, I like folk to know what I'm doing. If I'm putting out this video, y'all need to know what I'm doing, right, y'all? But anyway, Tansy always messing with me. That's her little thing. She loves me so much. She have to poke me every once in a while. So, I'm going to rinse my hands off over here a little bit. And prepare to get the mixture into the baking dish. So I'm just going to bake it in one of my little foil pans here. This pan here, it's going to be a big pan. It's not that biggest foil pan, but it's the one next to it. Oh, of course, we're going to do one more thing. Even with this, I like to taste it. Oh, I did the same thing again. That to me needs a little bit of salt because I didn't have my, now that I think about it, taste your food. Taste your food. Please taste your food before you put it out on the table or before you cook it and bake like this stuffing. And if it didn't have enough of something in it, it would have been too late once it got baked up. So just make sure you taste your food and see if it has enough salt, pepper, whatever. Okay. That's better. Just what I need. And sometimes when you cook food, if you get it a little bit too salty or whatever, put your little water in there. It'll break it down. There it goes. Okay. Now these kind of dishes, when you make stuffing and all this kind of stuff, let me tell you, you have a big cleanup to do. You use so many different ingredients and stuff is so wet and whatever. It creates a lot of mess. Just shake it. Make sure it evens out in the pan. That stuffing is ready to go into the oven. We're going to go ahead and get it in there. And we're baking this stuffing at 375 for an hour and about 15-20 minutes. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get the gravy ready. And while I do that, I'm just going to bow out for a minute. Okay, y'all, there it is. I went ahead and made some sweet and sour meatballs. That's 2 pounds of meatballs. They're by Food Line. 2 cups of grape jelly and 1 cup of barbecue sauce and 1/2 stick of butter. Just throw it all in the pan and boil it up. Sweet and sour meatballs. on that back burner, there's those savory, beautiful cabbage, all nice and steamed up, white rice, and there's those nice turkey wings with the gravy. I'm going to put that gravy, the turkey wings, right over that rice. And there's the stuffing, y'all. So, the flavor train will be pulling in here in a matter of minutes. I got time to breathe before they all get in here. It's hot in this kitchen, too. So, look, guys, do one thing for me. If you haven't already cooked, go ahead and jump in that kitchen and cook something. If not, run out and get you something good to eat, because there ain't nothing like a good meal on a Sunday afternoon. So, I'm done with this meal. Until I cook again, I'm going to say to you all, as I usually say, keep those prayers going up so the blessings will continue to come down. Do something nice for yourself or for your neighbor or for somebody. Cook you some good food. Good food says it all. And remember, God has us all in his hand. He is in control, y'all. So just let him do it. Just give it up and let him do it. Again, love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. And I'm just going to tune out and say, toodaloo.